Skiing, George spent skiing. Roger Hahn, I think he's here. Yeah, Roger. Doug Geary, John Voss, Chuck McVeigh, of course myself. And occasionally we had to call in some extras. It was Rick Champion occasionally, Tom Timothy, and from a long time ago, Ken Lilly. Also, there's a couple of players that have gone ahead to set up a table elsewhere for Roy, and they're waiting for him to deal the next hand. That's Ben Juergens and Mike Carucci. So here we go. Roy had a passion for poker. I mean, a passion for it. He loved to play the game, but more than that, I think he loved to host the game. He loved to host the game in his house. He loved to arrange for the players to come in. He arranged for breaks for food. And he just loved to be in charge of the poker game as we went along. We had one problem over that. Roy moved a lot. We had a hard time keeping up with it. Every time we turned around, it was a new venue that we were going to play poker. But we did manage to keep track of it pretty good. Plus, we got to see a lot of the neighborhoods around here, free of charge of kind of just on Roy's behalf. Roy did have one major shortfall as a host, and several of the players here can vouch for this. Roy liked to keep his house quite warm, like 80 degrees, winter or summer. We would swelter while Roy enjoyed the ambiance of the 80 degrees. Sometimes some of us actually brought our own fans and plugged them in. But we managed. Roy also had this huge light right above the table. It must have been 1,000 watts. It shone down. And while we sweltered and he enjoyed it, we thought more of the fact that we were probably at the police station getting an interrogation from Sergeant Joe Friday and his friends. But we persevered and put up with it and enjoyed it all the same. Roy's endurance was also a slight problem on occasions. He loved to set the games up, but he was always the first one to say, "I'm ready to quit." If it was somewhere else, he says, "I'm going to just quit and go home." Well, on one occasion, he did it at his house. He says, "I'm tired of playing, I'm going to go to bed. You guys lock up when you're finished." Well, he did, and we did. But we enjoyed it all the same. But overall, we can count on Roy to be quite a generous contributor to the pot every time we played a hand. Roy loved to play the game, and he dreaded, he hated to fold a hand. A lot of times it wasn't worth even looking at, but he still liked to play. He overplayed his hand, and I think he just liked to throw chips in the pot and listen to them tingle when they went in there. But all things considered, Roy, these were minor faults. We happily put up with them, happily put up with him, and now we wish we could again. Roy, you're going to always be in our thoughts, especially when we play cards. We'll continue to play, but it'll never be the same without Roy sitting at the table. You can't be replaced. We'll never try. The most important thing, though, is you are a friend to all of us, and we'll miss you with all our hearts. Roy, I got a feeling that probably about right now you're showing up at the pearly gates, and you're holding a royal flush and telling them you want in, and you'll make it. Thank you. Thank you.
Next will be Marie, Ingrid and Roy's niece. She probably traveled the farthest to be here since she came flying over from Sweden.
My favorite Uncle Roy. I was 7 years old when Roy came into my life, some 40 years ago. My mother told me one day that her sister Ingrid was bringing her American husband to Sweden for the first time. Mom and her other sister and a friend of theirs was fortunate enough to be able to attend the beautiful wedding between Roy and Ingrid, but I was too small to come. We found out that Roy had Indian ancestors, which we thought was so exciting. When Roy first came to Sweden, we almost expected to see him dressed in Indian outfit. Well, we're disappointed. I didn't speak English then, but that did not stop us from communicating. And after some years, when he returned with Ingrid, I had no son comfortable in Roy's company. He didn't mind my poor English, and my mother didn't speak a word of English, but they got along beautifully, didn't they? But the language barrier didn't seem to be a problem for them. I remember Roy taught me and my twin sister a little rhyme, which was most helpful to us when pronouncing the letter G in English, which was very fun. And he went, jumping Jim, whatever that meant. We thought it was so fun. And in return, we taught him an old traditional Swedish song, Mors lisa är vi allihopa, which means we're all mother's small pigs. He got really good in singing that one. I really treasured the times you came to Sweden. It was so exciting to be around you two, and lots of fun things happened. I enjoyed every moment. By the age of 10, I decided to go to the United States and visit you after my graduation. I had a crush on Roy, I must admit then, which passed away after a few years and was replaced by the deepest respect and strong brother and sister-in-law for someone who was very, very special to me. So when I was 19, I had the great pleasure of spending 6 wonderful months with Roy and Ingrid in LA. I had the best time with you. You took such great care of me, and my mother didn't have to worry at all. And I learned a lot of interesting things from you, which made a deep impression on me. I had so many exciting experiences with my sweet, sweet Anna. Often when I have thought back on that time in my life, I realize what a big impact you two people made on me as a person. When I finally had to go back to Sweden, I had the hardest time to say goodbye. We were all sad, and I wonder who cried the most. It's probably me. My husband John and myself have shared many wonderful moments with you over the years. We get along so well, and our children, Frederick and Johanna, just love their old Uncle Roy. I am so grateful that you managed to come to Sweden last year, and that it was always so great to have you around. It was like Roy never grew up. He remained youthful all through his life. He was the funniest, most open-hearted, spontaneous, and straightforward person I have ever met, with a big, big heart. He was very dear to me, and I felt we were close. We hated to say goodbye, unable to keep the tears away, knowing that it would take some time before we saw each other again. And now, he's gone forever, which I find so hard to accept. It's both extremely sad and strange to come here and not having Roy around. However, I feel the deepest gratitude and joy for having met and shared so many wonderful moments with him. And I have the best memories which will follow me all through my life. Loving Roy. I also represent the Swedish relatives, and I have a speech from them. Dearest and uncle, we feel the greatest grief over the loss of our beloved Uncle Roy. He has been a greatly appreciated and important family member of our family. During your and Roy's visits to Sweden over the years, we have been fortunate enough to get to know him as a very thoughtful, generous, and happy person, always keen on new adventures and interesting experiences. We all look forward to your visits with great expectations, and we always have the best time with two wonderful people. When Roy came into our family, we soon learned to appreciate his thoughts and opinions. Julie would sometimes tell us, oh, you're spoiling Roy, but you know, we love him so much, so we get so out of joy. Many times after your visits to Sweden, we said to each other, well, you know, Roy said so. Or, you know what Roy thought? Which implied that Roy's approval in various